Welcome to the New Brunswick Provincial Diving Championships being held at the Canada Games Aquatic Centre in St. John, New Brunswick, hosted by the St. John Fundy Diving Club. It's Barry Black with Becky Rigby, and we're getting set to do the men's and women's open competition, Becky. We have some pretty good divers here today. Do you want to just outline the list?
Okay, we have divers in Girls Open, which is 18 and over. We have Lindsay Black from the St. John Fundy Diving Club in St. John, Kathy Cooper from Cygnus Diving Club in Halifax, Alana from UNB Diving Club in Fredericton, Pam from the Cygnus Diving Club in Halifax, Anne from the St. John Diving Club, and Jose from the Nepean Diving Club in Ottawa.
Good. Let's just have a look at the dives here. We'll move on to the men's when we get a moment.
Okay, we have Alana French, and she'll be doing a front 1.5 pike.
Oh, nice dive.
That was a really good dive. She landed a little bit short, though.
Alana, as we mentioned in the last competition division, has had some ear problems and hasn't been practicing as much as she would like coming up to this competition.
That's right. She had I think it was an ear infection. She wasn't allowed to dive for a while. Okay, that was Lindsay Black, and she did a really good dive.
Yeah, looks smooth.
Okay, this is Pam Glaspie, and she's from the Cygnus Diving Club in Halifax. And she just did a front 1.5 pike, and it was really good.
Yeah. 5.5s and 6s were her scores.
Yeah, those are good scores. Okay, this is Anne. She's from the St. John Fundy Diving Club also. Okay, that was a front dive pike, and she did that very well. She just landed a little bit on her back.
Anne was trying out a new dive in warm-ups, concentrating very, very hard, and I think we'll see the end results as we go along in the competition. And in the men's open,
we have James Bartlett from Cygnus Diving Club, Nick Holsley from the Cygnus Diving Club in Halifax, Billy from the Cygnus Diving Club, Keith from the UNB Fredericton Diving Club, Tim Jones from Queen Elizabeth in Moncton, and Dale McLean from Queen Elizabeth in Moncton.
I understand there's quite a rivalry between Tim and Dale that we'll be seeing unfold during the competition.
Yes, there's sort of a little bet on who's going to win.
Yep.
They're both quite good.
Dale coached Tim actually back in the early 80s, and Dale was the top diver in the CIAUs and was in line to go to the Canadian or the Olympics in Moscow in 1980, and they were canceled. So really an unfortunate situation for him.
Yeah, that's hard.
And this is Keith.
This is Keith Pickard. He's from UNB Fredericton. And he just did an awesome front 1.5 pike.
That was a good looking dive. I think Keith is also being brought into the competition by Dale and Tim's.
Oh yeah, he'll be right up there too.
Yeah.
Okay, this is James Bartlett. He's from the Cygnus Diving Club down in Halifax. And he went to the Canada Games out in Saskatoon for Nova Scotia.
Excellent.
And he just did a really nice back dive pike.
Very clean.
Okay, this is Billy Dunn, and he's also from Cygnus Diving Club down in Halifax. Okay, that wasn't too bad a dive, but when he came off the board, his legs were apart, and they should have been together.
Yes. Of course, even though Billy's diving open. He's much younger than some of the other competitors.
Anybody can dive open. It's 18 and over, but any age group can dive it. Okay, this is Tim Jones. This is one of the ones that is having the rivalry with Dale McLean. That was a gorgeous front
Very nice.
one-half pike.
Very nice.
And what he's holding is called a chamois, and it's like a sports towel, and they dry off with that.
Be similar to an automobile chamois that you would use.
Yep. A lot of people do use these ones for that too.
And I understand the St. John Fun Day Diving Club has the exclusive franchise in Canada for
Yes, we do.
chamois.
And we sell them at the Canada Games Aquatic Center from the diving club for $15.
Well, that's excellent.
And this is Dale McLean. He used to be Tim's coach. He's from Queen Elizabeth in Moncton.
Oh,
Okay, that was a front double pike, and he had an awesome top on that.
he did.
He really had an awesome top, but he just lost himself in the air and came out at the wrong time, and that's why he landed a little bit short.
Scored mid-4s for that. He'll be disappointed.
Yeah. Okay, this is Kathy Cooper, and she's from the Signals Diving Club down in Halifax. Okay, she just did a back dive layout, and she did it very well. She just landed a little bit short.
And was probably a little bit further out from the board than you would like?
When she took off, she leaned a little bit, and that's why she was out there. Okay, this is Jose, and she's from Nepean Diving Club in Ottawa. They came down for the competition this weekend.
And I think that's the club that both Dale and Tim were involved in up in Ottawa as well.
I think so.
Yeah.
And that was a beautiful back dive pike.
Hardly a splash.
And what that's called is a grip. When there's no splash, it's like gripping the water.
Yeah. It even has its distinctive sound, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay, Alana's going to be doing a back 1.5 layout.
Excellent concentration with this diver.
Oh yeah, you always have to concentrate. That was a really nice dive.
Very pretty.
Okay, Lindsay's from the St. John Fun Day Diving Club, and she'll be doing a back dive pike.
So her legs will be...
She'll be straight, but she'll be bent at the waist.
Yes.
And that was a really nice dive also.
Do you find when you're diving, Becky, in when you were in the age groups and diving open, did your concentration levels increase because the competition was stronger?
Well, a lot of times when you dive open, you find that the competition's older, they're more experienced, and you get an uplift, and you want to do as well as them, and that helps your diving.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Pam Gillespie, and she's from the Cygnus Diving Club in Halifax. Okay, that was a good dive. She didn't quite jump it up high enough, so she was a little low when she came out.
Very important to get that height above the board.
Oh yeah, they need the height to execute the dive. Okay, this is Anne. She's from the St. John Fun Day Diving Club. Okay, that was a back dive layout. That was a really nice top. She just let her stomach go on the entry, and that's why it was a little splashy.
The legs came over.
Yeah. Okay, this is Nick from the Cygnus Diving Club in Halifax.
I notice we don't have any Newfoundland divers here, Becky. They've got a strong team. What's the any reasoning for their not being here this weekend?
Well, a lot of times it's hard for them to travel out of the province because it's expensive to come over by plane. But they've also come to quite a few competitions. They've been to Toronto, they've been to Halifax and stuff. So a lot of them are pretty well qualified for nationals, those who were going to. And it's hard to get out for these competitions. Okay, that was a really nice dive. He was a little low, but otherwise it was good.
Yeah. Is there any reason why they run the 3 meter in the women's competition and the males on the 1 meter board at the same times? Why wouldn't they have the men all and women doing 3 meter at the same time? Is it?
One thing is during practice, it's hard, like if you're just going to run all 3 meter, it's hard for everybody to practice at the same time. So they divide them up. They let the men go on 1 meter or vice versa. And that way they get more warm-up time.
I see.
Okay, that was Keith Pickard. He just did a back dive pike and he did it very well.
Yeah, Keith is diving well today.
Okay, this is James, and he's doing a reverse dive pike. Okay, that was a nice dive. It was a nice pike. He was just a little bit short on the entry.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Billy, and he's from the Cygnus Diving Club in Halifax.
That's the chamois that he just threw over to the side. Dries the divers off, and they get chilly between dives waiting around.
Yeah, it helps to get the water off you and keep you warm. Okay, that was a really nice dive. He just leaned it out a little bit. That's why he was out too far.
Yes.
But other than that, it was a really nice back dive pike. Okay, this is Tim Jones, and he's going to be doing a back dive layout.
Degree of difficulty 1.7, and he's working on the fulcrum.
Okay, they moved that fulcrum to make the spring different. The further they put it back, the springier it gets, and the further they bring it to the water, the harder it gets. That was a gorgeous dive. He
Very
ripped
clean.
That, yeah, he ripped that dive. Okay, this is Dale McLean, and he's doing back dive layout also. That was a really good dive also, but he just had a little bit more splash than Tim had.
Yes. I noticed that Tim and Dale and some of the other divers are going on opposite boards in the competition. Do we have both cheese boards on the 1 meter?
No, we just have cheese boards on one of them, but some people don't want as much bounce, or they just prefer the other board. Just depends on what you're used to.
Yeah. And again, that dive was a little far out.
Yeah, she leaned that out quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Josie. She's from the Nepean Diving Club in Ottawa. That was a gorgeous dive.
6.5 across the board.
Those are really good scores. Okay, this is Lana French, and she's from the UNB Fredericton Diving Club.
Has she made nationals this year?
I'm not quite sure whether she has. I think she has made age group, but I wouldn't say for sure.
She's had problems with her ears this year, and it's restricted her practice time.
Yeah, she hasn't been training as hard. At the first of the year, she hasn't been training as hard, but she's getting into it now.
Nice dive there.
Yes, it was. Okay, this is Lindsay Black, and she's doing a reverse dive pike also.
Degree of difficulty 1.9.
Awesome dive. She nailed that. She ripped the entry, which is no splash.
7 to 8.5 on that dive.
Those are really, really good scores.
Are we still in the compulsories for most of these divers, Becky?
Yes, we're on the 3rd round, and there's 10 rounds for the girls and 11 rounds for the guys.
This is Pam
Gillespie from Cygnus. And that was a really good dive also.
6 and 1/2, 7, 8, 6 and 1/2. And reverse dive, position, DD 1.8.
Okay, Anne's doing a reverse dive tuck. Okay, that was a really good dive. She just didn't quite reach it up all the way to her ears, and so she landed a little bit long.
4 and 1/2. Next, reverse dive, pike position, DD 1.7.
Okay, Nick on the 1 meter is doing reverse dive pike.
He seemed to twist a bit at the top, didn't he?
Yeah, he did a little bit of a twist, and he didn't quite get his legs out quick enough, so that's why he landed on his leg on the back.
Resulting in scores of 3s and 4s.
1.7.
If a diver begins the dive and stops, is it a disqualification, or can the diver then go back and redo it?
Okay, if the diver starts his walk and then stops, it's called a balk. And they have 2 tries. If they balk, they can try it again. And if they balk again, it's an incomplete dive where they get 0. But if they balk and then do it again, they'll get deducted 2 points off each score. So if it was a really good dive and they got 5.5s,
Yes.
they would end up getting 3.5s. Or like if they had 2s, they'd get 0.
I see. That again was Keith Picker, just while we were talking there, did a very solid dive. He's had three good dives.
Yeah, he's doing very well so far. And this is James Bartlett.
Is Halifax considered to be a strong diving club, Becky?
Yes, they are. They're really growing.
Yeah.
They're getting a lot of new members now, and they're doing very well.
6, 5.
Do that.
Village, reverse dive, pike position, DD 1.7.
Okay, this is Billy. He's from the Cygnus Diving Club. Okay, he just did a reverse dive pike, and he didn't quite get high enough, so he landed a little bit short.
4.5.
And again, you could see that as a result of the distance from the board that he went.
Yeah, he was a little bit out too far.
Yeah.
You don't want to be out too far, but you also don't want to be too close to the board.
You were saying in our last show that the being too close will take points away as well as being too far out.
That's right.
That would be just about perfect there.
Yeah, that's about where you want to be. And that was a gorgeous dive. That was a reverse dive layout.
Dale, reverse dive, position, DD 1.8.
That was
dive.
That was a gorgeous dive.
Yeah.
That was a reverse dive layout also, and that was Dale McLean.
Starting the fourth round of dives.
And this is Kathy, and she's doing inward dive.
Will the girls be doing 10 dives in this round?
The girls will be doing 10, and the guys will be doing 11. And that was a really nice dive.
In the Olympic competitions, are there 10 as well? 10 dives in?
Yep, it's the same in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Jose from the Nepean Diving Club. And that was an inward 1.5 pike. And that was very well done.
We've been talking about nationals here throughout the day, and where are the nationals being held this year?
Okay, the age group nationals for the groups 18 and under are being held in Montreal, Quebec. And the senior nationals, which are 18 and over, are being held in Saskatoon.
And I understand you'll be attending those senior nationals?
Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow at afternoon for Saskatoon.
Well, we wish you well.
Thank you.
This is Alana.
And she just did a really nice inward dive pike. She'll be happy with that.
Again, is that a compulsory dive?
That's a compulsory dive.
This is Lindsay Black.
And she just did an inward 1.5 pike. That was a good top. She was just a little bit low, so she didn't have time to fully stretch out of her pike.
Yeah.
Inward dive, pike position, DD 1.4.
Okay, this is Pam Gillespie. And that was an inward dive pike, and she did that very well.
Yes. Body straight up and down when it entered the water.
That's right.
And inward dive, pike position, DD 1.4.
Okay, Anne's going to be doing an inward dive pike also. And that was a really nice
Very nice
dive.
dive. I understand that the top divers in the meet will be awarded a trophy called the Calder Trophy, and it's a memorial trophy in honor of the coach of the St. John Funday Diving Club's father, who passed away recently, and I think everybody's competing very strongly to win that trophy. It's very meaningful to them.
That's right. The Calder Cup is awarded to the diver who has received the highest, percentage of their national score. Like, there's a score set out for nationals, and the diver who achieves the highest percentage of that national standard for his or her age group event or open on any board will receive the trophy. And there's one for male and one for female.
Excellent. Do you recall the winners from last year?
The winners from last year were Dale McLean and Pam Gillespie, who are both here today.
Yeah.
5, 4.5, 5.5, 4.5.
Notice Keith did a hurdle and tested the bounce on the board. Is that something that's done regularly in competition?
Some people do it. It's allowed before or during the announcement of the dive, but it can't be done after the announcement of the dive, or it will be considered a bog.
Yes.
And he's doing an inward dive pike. Okay, that was a really nice dive. He got a little stuck though. As he did his hurdle, he almost stopped and then continued, so that slowed down his dive.
And probably took away some of the height.
Yes, it did.
This is James.
And he's from the Cygnus Diving Club down in Halifax. Okay, he just did a front double pike, and he did it very well. He didn't quite have enough height, so he tucked it a little bit when he came around, but otherwise it was a good top.
Just didn't seem to open up. He went into the water still.
Yeah, he
piked.
was still a little bit. Okay, he just did an inward dive pike, and he leaned it out a little bit, so he wasn't quite as high as he probably wanted to be.
Yeah. I notice there's applause and when the divers are in the water. Do you hear that when you're diving, or do you just hear it when you break the surface?
You don't usually. A lot of times you're concentrating so hard on the dive that you don't hear much.
Yeah.
But after the dive, you come out of the water and you usually hear something.
It helps.
That was an inward dive layout, and that's a really hard dive, and he did that very well.
Dale and Tim having a little eye contact after each dive.
Yeah, they're having a little rivalry.
Little conversation
I
there.
think they're doing all the same dives.
Yes. Actually, I would have to give Tim the edge so far. Dale has...
Yeah, Dale has had some heavy entries, a little bit too much splash. That was a really nice dive. That was
Very
an inward
clean.
dive pike.
That's more up to the standards we expect from Dale in
Yes.
the competition. We're into the fifth round of dives, starting with the women on the 3 meter.
And this is Kathy Cooper, and she's from Cygnus. And she just did a really nice layout half twist. I think she over twisted slightly, and so it was a little bit of a splash, but otherwise it was nice and tight.
Yes.
Okay, this is Jose. She's from the Nepean Diving Club in Ottawa, and she's doing a front 1.5 full twist. That was really good. She landed a little bit short, though.
Yeah. I noticed some divers really take a very concentrated approach as they head towards the end of the board, and others really attack it much more quickly. Is there any style that we can look for in the hurdle that indicates the preferred way of doing it, or is it just personal preference?
It depends on the person. Sometimes if you're too relaxed, it's not too good, but if you're too tight, it's not good also. You just have to be relaxed, and whatever works for you, whatever you're used to, whatever is best. Okay, Alana, she just did a full twisting 1/2, and it was really good, but in the middle of her dive, her legs split a little bit. But other than that, it was a really nice dive.
Scoring 5s. I missed the dive. She did degree of difficulty 2.0, but what is
I
the
think
dive?
she's doing a front dive layout half twist, and this is Lindsay. nice dive. It was straight up and down. She was just a little heavy on the entry, but other than that, it was a gorgeous dive.
Toes weren't pointed as straight as perhaps she would have liked.
Well, sometimes you concentrate too much on the dive. You just forget little things like that,
Yeah.
but Pam's doing a back 1/1/2 somersault with a half twist.
These divers would be involved in a regular conditioning program, I would assume, Becky.
That's right. They train some between 4 to 8 times a week. It just depends on the club and the person. And she just did a back 1/2 with a half twist. And it was a little low, so she didn't quite do it as well as she probably wanted to.
In the dry land training, there's a lot of work on the legs, I would assume.
There's a lot of work
Building the strength there is so important.
There's a lot of work on the legs and upper arm strength for the entries. You need a lot of strength for your entries because that takes a lot out of you to hit the water at some of the speeds that you're hitting it at.
Yes.
So
Good dive by Anne.
that's right.
I noticed some divers even tape their wrists.
Hitting the water takes a lot out of the wrist. It's over and over, just sometimes wears them out. And without a lot of conditioning, it can cause problems. And the taping helps the wrist.
Back to the 1 meter men's open.
This is Nick, and he's from Cygnus Diving Club down in Halifax. And he just did a back 1/2 with a half twist, and he did it really good.
A very difficult dive, scoring 3.5 to 4s. A little loose throughout the dive with his
He was
legs.
a little loose, but that's a hard dive.
Yes.
A lot of these options are hard to do on 1 meter since it's so low. He's getting ready to do this dive, and I think they announced the wrong dive, and he was starting to get upset, but then they announced the right dive, so he's okay now. A little relieved.
Oh,
Okay, that was a full twisting 1/2, and it was very well done. He was just a little bit short on that.
scoring in the mid 4s.
Okay, he's doing the same dive that Keith just did, a front 1/2 with a full twist.
I understand you do some trampoline work to develop the twists on land and then get the opportunity to try them out on a board.
Yeah, the trampoline, we have belts that we wear that are attached to ropes, which the coach pulls and holds on just to hold you up in the air, and they help you to get the feel for the dive, and they're really helpful.
You can do a lot more trying out the techniques, and instead of hopping off the board and coming around doing it again, you can
That's
just
right.
concentrate on one aspect of the dive.
Well, you can do the dive on the tramp and get feel for what it's supposed to feel like without having to worry about wiping out on the water or anything. Okay, that was Billy, and
I think Billy could use a little tramp work on that one.
yeah, he leaned that one out quite a bit. And he balked on that. He took a little bit of a step, then he stepped back. So they'll deduct 2 points for from each score. Okay, this is Tim, and he's doing front dive layout with a half twist. That was a really nice dive.
He was ready for it. He didn't waste any time.
No. It's good to get right off the board because you don't want to stop and think too much, because then you get worried about it, and it's sometimes not too good to think about the dive.
Nancy Lane. Forward 1.5 number call from full width, DD 2.2.
Okay, Dale's doing a front 1.5 with a 1 twist.
A difficult dive.
Yeah, these dives are difficult to do on 1 meter. But he did it very
He
well.
certainly did. Excellent dive.
Yes,
He'll be happy with that.
I'm sure he will.
7s and 8s are the judges'
Those are good
scores
scores.
on a difficult dive. We're back to the Women's Open.
And this is Kathy Cooper from Cygnus. And she just
Ooh.
did a front 2.5 tuck.
Excellent. Perhaps not quite as straight as she would have liked on the entry, but a
I
very
don't
good
think
dive.
she jumped quite as high as she wanted to, and that's why she had some problems. Okay, this is Jose. She's from the Nepean Diving Club in Ottawa. And she just did a front 2.5 tuck, and it was really nice takeoff. She just didn't quite kick out soon enough, so she was a little bit long.
Yeah.
Alana. Forward 2.5 number call, tight position, DD 2.4.
Okay, this is Landon. She's going to do the same thing that Jose did, but she's going to keep her legs straight instead of tucked.
So she'll be doing the pike position.
That's right.
And is that considered more difficult than the
That
tuck?
is more difficult than the tuck position. And she did that very well. She was same thing. She just didn't come out soon enough, so she was a little bit long, but it was a good dive.
She's very close. She's probably a week away from having the timing, isn't she? This competition in her practice schedule is
Yeah.
perhaps a week early, but still diving well.
That was Lindsay Black, and she did reverse tummy pike, and it was very well done.
7, 5.5, 6.
Scoring 5.5s to 7s on that dive.
Forward 2.5 number call, tight position, DD 2.4.
Beat it.
Okay, that was Pam Gillespie, and she did a front 2.5 pike, and she just landed a little bit short. She didn't quite have the height she wanted.
5.5,
4.5. And forward 1.5 number call, tight position, DD 1.6.
Okay, this is Anne, and she'll be doing a front 1.5 pike.
Is this the dive she was practicing before the meet?
I'm not quite sure.
Second score.
Little long,
She was a little long, but it was a good dive.
yes.
Forward 4.5.
4s to 5.5 on the judges' scores.
Two somersault, tuck. Okay, that was very well done. He just, when he went in the water, he had his arms up, so he's going to get a maximum of 4.5. His arms should have been down by his legs, down to the side.
Tight position, DD 2.6.
Degree of difficulty 2.6 on Keith's next dive.
That was a front 2.5 pike, and that's a hard dive on 1 meter.
Did it well.
He did it very well. He jumped it out a little bit too much. That's why he didn't quite get his straight up and down, but otherwise it was a great dive.
I noticed Keith uses the entire board, he starts at the back, and his hurdle is much longer than a lot of the other divers' hurdles.
It depends on what you want. Like, you have to have at least 4 steps, but some people prefer to start from the end or have more than that. Okay, he just did it back, 1.5 tuck, and it was very well done. He just leaned it out a little bit too much.
Yep.
5, 5, 5. Billy, through the forward, 1.5 off, tuck position, leading, 1.6.
Okay, this is Billy, and he'll be doing a front 1.5 tuck position. And that was a nice dive.
Nice dive, yes. Very solid.
4.5, 5, 5, 4, 4.5.
Scoring 4s and 5s.
4, 2.5 seconds off, tuck position, leading, 2.4.
Okay, this is Tim, and he'll be doing a front 2.5 somersault tuck.
Would a pike be possible off the 1 meter, Becky?
Yeah, Keith just did a pike.
I see. I guess it would, because he over-rotated.
Yeah, it was a really nice top. I think he just got lost and didn't know where to come out and landed quite long.
Dale, forward, 2.5 seconds off, in the pike position, leading, 2.6.
And Dale will be doing a front 2.5, but in the pike position. And he did that very well.
Very smoothly done.
7.5, 7.5, 7.5, 7, 7.
7s to 7.5s for that.
Those are really good scores. That DD is really high, the degree of difficulty, so that will make a really high total score.
Next round of the women's 3 meter open.
And this is Kathy Cooper. Okay, she just did a back 1.5 tuck, and she did very well. It was a nice top, but when she came out, she held on a little bit too long and landed on her stomach.
We talked about the water spray that is going into the water just at the end of the pool. For those viewers who didn't see us last week, perhaps you can explain to them what that is for.
That is, for the divers, it is to spray the water to make the water move so that the divers don't just see blue. They can see the water better to spot.
I see. And that was a very nice dive by Jose.
She just did a back 1.5 layout.
DD 2.8.
Okay, Alana will be doing a back 2.5 somersault tuck, and that's a really hard dive.
I understand as you're going around each revolution, your eyes have to see the water in order to kick out at the right time.
That's called spotting, and you're supposed to spot the walls, the ceiling, and the water as you're going around, and then at a certain point you're supposed to come out and then go in the water. She didn't quite have the height she needed because she leaned it out.
Yes.
And that's why she couldn't get her arms up for the entry, but it was a pretty good dive.
Yes. The entry, actually the splash was indicated the dive wasn't as good as it really was. In that case, it was a better dive than the entry would indicate.
That's right. And she did a back 1/2 layout, and she landed a little bit short because she didn't quite get into the somersault as soon as she should have.
Hands, back, 1.5 somersault, layup position, DD 2.4.
We were talking about the layout dive as being one of the most difficult to do. When you see it, it really is impressive with the body extended throughout the dive.
That's a really nice position, and it's hard to keep because you have to keep everything straight.
Another.
And Pam also did a back 1/2 layout. She landed it, she was almost straight, but she bent her legs a little bit, and they'll take a little bit away from that.
1.5 somersault, the tuck position, DD 1.9.
Okay, this is Anne. And she'll be doing a back 1.5 somersault tuck.
This is the dive she was practicing in warm-up, I believe, Becky.
Yeah, I think she did it for the first time in warm-up today.
It's a difficult dive, and this
Yeah,
is a difficult time for a diver.
This would be the second time she's ever performed it, and she's getting a lot of encouragement from the crowd.
I've noticed that with the divers. They all support each other, and although it's competitive, they like to see people doing things well. It challenges them and gets them to dive at a higher level.
That's right.
Well done. You can hear the scream in the cut.
That was a very nice dive. Her legs were a little bit apart, but that's the second time she's ever done it, so I think she'll be pleased.
Good for her. That's a great feeling of accomplishment.
Next diver, Nick, doing a back.
And that really helps for the next competition.
That's right. Now she's done it, she knows she can do it, and she'll practice it, and she'll have it better for the next one. Okay, this is Nick, and he's from the Cygnus Diving Club in Halifax.
And we're doing the next round of the men's open on the 1 meter.
And he just did a back 1.5 tuck. And he did it very well.
Yes.
4.5, 4.5.
Scoring 4s, 4.5s.
Back 1.5 somersault in the pike position, DD 2.4.
Judging is a difficult area from region to region. I suppose that it's so subjective. There are differences in judging and the scores that you receive at competitions.
There is, in different areas, the competition is greater, and so the judging gets harder because they have to make difference between the best and, you know, the one that's just a little not quite as good.
Yes.
And Keith just did a back 1.5 pike, and he did it very well. He was just a little bit short.
James, reverse 1.5 somersault in the pike position, DD 2.1.
And James is going to be doing a reverse 1.5 tuck. Okay, he did that very well. He just didn't quite get his arms all the way up to his ears where he should have had them when he took off, and so he was a little bit short.
Billy, back 1 somersault in the pike position, DD 1.4.
During practices, do you use video equipment to see your dives and determine the things that you have to do to improve a particular dive?
Sometimes we do. We tape our practice, and then we watch afterwards. We can see, like, when somebody tells you what you did, sometimes it's hard to understand, but once you see it on TV, you understand more of what you did wrong. Okay, Billy just did a back semi-pike, and he did very well, but he had his arms up, and so the maximum score he'll get from each judge is 4.5.
You have to really concentrate holding those arms down by your side, because
That's right.
the momentum alone will make them fly up above your head. Actually, the year that Tim dove for Dale, 1980-81 in Ottawa, Dale had 12 divers on the national team that first year. He's not only a good diver, he's an excellent coach.
That's right. Tim just did a back 1/2 pike, and he leaned it back quite a bit, so he was quite long.
He's presently trying to distract Dale, and
yes, they've got a rivalry going, so. And Dale just did a back 1/2 pike, and he did very well. He just wasn't quite high enough, and he didn't quite get the entry he wanted. It was a little splashy.
We're into the 8th round, women's 3-meter.
And this is Kathy Cooper. And she just did a reverse 1/2 tuck, and she leaned it out a little bit. That's why she landed short, but she also twisted it a little bit.
And landed quite a distance from the board.
That's right. Okay, this is Jose, and she's from the European Diving Club in Ottawa. And she just did a gorgeous reverse 1/2 tuck.
Very nice. She even has the other competitors clapping for her coming along behind.
That's right.
This is Alana.
And she just did an inward 1/2 tuck. She did very well, but she didn't quite have the height she probably wanted, so she wasn't fully extended.
Lindsay, inward dive, tight position, 1/2 fifth, CD 1.6.
Okay, this is Lindsay from the St. John Fundy Diving Club, and she'll be doing an inward dive pike with a 1/2 twist. And she did a gorgeous dive.
Diving in Canada has been very competitive on the world stage, Becky. Is that continuing? We had Sylvie Bernier at the Olympics, took the gold, and are we maintaining that kind of momentum?
Yes, we have some people that have gone to Worlds and won Worlds. We've got a girl, Anne Momedy, who won Worlds a couple of years ago in her age group. And we've got quite a few people that are doing real well. We've had the Commonwealth Games, we had some Canadians win golds. So we're doing quite well.
Keeping it going.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, the coach of Sylvie Bernier was down giving a coaching clinic a couple of months ago.
That's right, he was down here and he gave us some tips and he was really nice.
Excellent.
It was quite helpful.
And just scored 4s on that dive. Going to the men's, 1 meter.
And this is Nick.
I believe the name of the coach was Donald Dion, who was coach Sylvie Bernier.
That's right. And he just did a reverse 1/2 tuck, and he did it pretty good. He was just a little bit short.
About 2 minutes of take off.
Okay, Keith will be doing a reverse 2 somersaults.
very difficult dive.
It's quite a difficult dive to spot. It's hard to come out of it. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a front double somersault pike, not a reverse.
Oh, I thought it was reverse as well. Yes, he did.
He did that very well.
Yeah. Again, Keith with that long hurdle up to the end of the board is really quite different from the majority of the divers that I've seen. This is James.
And he just did an inward one half tuck, and he did very well, but he didn't have the height he would have wanted to make that dive straight up and down.
Again, you need the height because you're pushing away from the board, yet you're twisting in towards the board. You're doing two very different things that
That's right.
require a lot of height to do successfully.
This is Billy from the Cygnus Diving Club. And he just did a really nice reverse semi tuck.
Scoring 4s and 5s.
Okay, Tim will be doing a reverse somersault, reverse 1 1/2 somersault pike. And this is quite a hard dive on 1 meter also. That was a really nice dive. He took it out a little bit, but other than that, it was a gorgeous dive.
And now Dale.
And he'll be doing a reverse 1 1/2 somersault pike also.
Very nice.
He did that very nice. He was a little heavy on the entry and had quite a bit of splash, but it was a nice dive.
Okay, we'll be leaving you now for a public service message with the next round of the women's 3-meter competition in St. John, New Brunswick. Welcome back to the Aquatic Center in St. John, New Brunswick. We're at the New Brunswick Provincial Diving Championships, and we are about 3 divers into the women's 3-meter, their 9th round. I'm with Becky Rigby. Barry Black is my name. And we have Alana on the 3-meter.
Okay, Alana just did a back 1 1/2 with a half twist, and she did it very well.
And the scores show it, 5.5 to 6s from the judges.
Okay, this is Lindsay Black, and she's from the St. John Fundy Diving Club.
Did you catch her dive, Becky?
I think she's doing a front 2 1/2 somersault pike.
A little short.
She didn't quite jump it up as high as she could have, but that was a very nice dive.
Yes. Scoring 4s and 5s.
This is Pam Gillespie, and she's from the Cygnus Diving Club in Halifax.
Pam used to dive out of New Brunswick, didn't she?
She is from Moncton, but she's going to university down in Halifax.
Yes.
And she just did an inward 1.5 pike. She was a little bit short. She didn't quite get as fast a rotation as she wanted. Anne is doing an inward 1/2 somersault tuck.
Again, getting a little bounce on the board, rhythm.
And she did that very well. She didn't quite have the height she needed, and she didn't have the time to extend fully to straight position, but that was quite well done.
It's good experience for Anne. She's a young diver and
She's
has lots of
quite
years
new.
to develop.
She hasn't been on the club that long, and she's doing very well.
Yeah.
Okay, Nick is from the Cygnus Diving Club.
And again, the men competing on the 1 meter board while the women are competing on the 3.
And he just did an inward semi-tuck, and he did it very well. He'll get good scores for that. Okay, Keith will be doing an inward 1/2 tuck.
I think Keith was hoping to slip in and steal the competition from Dale and Tim while they were concentrating so much on their own rivalry.
That's right. He's doing very well, though.
He is. He's diving well.
And he just did a gorgeous dive.
Very nice dive. And these are the dives that count.
That's right.
6.5s and 7s on that dive.
Those are really good scores. And this is James Bartlett. He's from the Cygnus Diving Club.
Tremendous concentration.
And he just did a front 2.5 tuck, and he wasn't quite as high as he could have been, and that's why he landed a little bit on his shoulders.
Yes.
Okay, this is Billy, and he'll be doing a front inward semi-tuck.
When you're getting ready for a competition, Becky, do you concentrate on the more difficult dives and let your compulsories that you've brought along from previous competitions slide, or do you practice them equally?
Well, you might work a little bit more on the harder dives that you may be having problems with, but you still have to work on those compulsories because you don't want to let those go down. Okay, this is Tim Jones, and he'll be doing a back 1 1/2 somersault with 1/2 twist.
Good degree of difficulty, 2.1.
That's right.
Again, Dale's talking to him right now, trying to upset his competition,
That's
his
right.
concentration.
Tim and Dale are having a rivalry, and for the most part, Dale and Tim are quite into coaching. So they're not used to practicing these dives, so a lot of times they're just throwing these dives. And that was a nice dive. He leaned that out quite a bit, so he was a little bit short.
4.5 to 5.5 on the scores.
Dale will be doing an inward 1/2 pike, and that's a really hard dive on 1 meter. And And he did it very well. That was a gorgeous dive. He ripped the entry.
That will help him.
Yes.
This is the 10th round of the women's 3 meters.
This is their last round. And this is Kathy Cooper, and she's from the Cygnus Diving Club. She'll be doing a front 1 1/2 somersault with 1 twist. Okay, she did that dive, and when she started twist, she wasn't quite as high as she wanted to be. And I think she had some problems with that, and that's why she landed the way she did.
Yes. Once you start to have problems, they just compound on a dive of that nature,
right.
don't they?
Okay, this is Jose. She's from the Nepean Diving Club.
Where would the main areas for diving in Canada be at the present time, Becky?
The main areas, it's hard to say. Quebec and Ontario have a great number of people, but a lot of the good ones are from out west. There's South Saskatchewan and Alberta and BC. They all have good ones also, but I think the majority of the concentration of divers is in Ontario and Quebec.
Yes.
But that's not necessarily where the best ones are.
They have the obvious advantage of more competition from
That's
other
right.
divers, and that tends to press you. And
well, when you have other people doing the same thing, they're at the same age and the same level, and they try something new, you get pushed to try the same thing, and it really helps.
yes.
And this is Solana French, and she's from the UNB Diving Club in Fredericton.
Very attractive bathing suit she's wearing today.
And she just did a reverse 1 1/2 somersault tuck, and she didn't quite keep her body as tight on the entry and stuff as she probably wanted to. But she had done that earlier in another competition, and that was a great improvement to what she had done.
Yes, she's relieved to have that one.
I'm sure she is. Okay, Lindsay Black is from the St. John Diving Club, and she'll be doing an inward double somersault tuck.
There's a good shot of her positioning her feet on the board. Some divers have a tremendous angle on their feet, and others have them more flat. I'd say Lindsay there is somewhere in between.
Well, it depends on your preference.
There she goes. She's up higher now.
Some people start up high. Some people start in a different position and don't do as much of a hurdle than others. Okay, she just did a very good dive. She was sitting a little bit when she kicked out, but that was a great dive.
I think she's relieved.
I think she's pleased. She hasn't really done that dive a whole lot, and that's one of the newer dives for her, and I think she's relieved that she's done it. Okay, this is Pam Gillespie, and she's doing a full twisting 1 1/2. And that was a good dive, but she landed a little bit short. She didn't quite get as much somersault speed as she should have got.
Scoring 5s, 5s and a half.
Doing an inward dive, tight position with a half twist, PD 1.6.
This is Anne.
And she's doing...
She needs about 20 more points for nationals, I understand.
And she just did an inward dive pike half twist. It was a pretty good dive. She just wasn't as tight as she should have been.
Scoring 4, she'll come very close.
Yes, she will.
Turning to the men's 1 meter.
This is Nick, and he's from the Cygnus Diving Club.
The men will be diving 11 dives, and the women dive 10.
So the men will have one more round after these dives. And he just did a full two swing 1.5, and he didn't quite have the height he needed, and so he didn't make it all the way around.
No.
3, 2 1/2, 3, 3 1/2, 3. Keith, reverse 1.5 somersault in the top position.
Keith will try and nail this dive so he can close the gap on Tim and Dale.
And he's doing a reverse 1.5 somersault tack.
Lost his concentration there. We had somebody jumping into the pool.
That was a really good dive. He twisted slightly, but other than that, it was a great dive.
Scoring 4s to 5.5, so that'll be a nice total score for him on that one.
Okay, this is James, and he'll be doing a front semi 2 twists.
Again, good practice for James. He's coming along, and all of this helps for his future diving.
That's right. And he just did a really good dive. He did the 2 twists great. He just didn't have quite enough somersault to land on his feet. He landed a little bit short. Okay, Billy will be doing a front semi with 1 twist.
I notice in the competitions I've been attending, Becky, that there are more female divers than there are males. Is this the same throughout the country, or does it vary from region to region?
It varies from region to region. There's a lot of male divers throughout Canada. It's just, in some areas, some people just aren't as interested. Okay, Tim will be doing a front 1.5 somersault with 1 twist.
Degree of difficulty 2.2. So again, a chance to score very well if he does a good dive.
That's right. And he did a very nice dive. He landed a little bit long, but it was a great dive.
Scoring 6s for that effort. Now again, Dale was getting set to go, and the judges' scores are having to be reviewed again. Does that affect the next diver? Will he be put off by that, or does he have enough experience to?
I think Dale has enough experience, but for some people it's hard because they get up there and they're ready to go, and then they have a break.
Yes.
And sometimes it throws you off a little bit, but it's not too bad. He'll be doing a back 1.5 somersault with 1.5 twists.
Wow.
And he just did a wonderful
Yes,
dive.
he did.
That's hard to do on 1 meter. There's not much room to do that.
No.
I think
Sevens and 8s.
I think he's increasing that gap between him and Tim, but we won't know until the end.
No. He might be just catchable by Tim in the 11th dive, but
It's hard to say.
and here we are starting the 11th round of the men's dives, and the women, of course, doing 10 dives have completed their 3-meter list. And this is Nick.
And he just did a front 2.5 somersault. And he was a little bit long. He didn't have enough height to kick out straight.
I noticed in his tucks, his legs were quite wide apart. Is that a style that's acceptable now to have in your tuck?
Well, no, it's not acceptable. You can get deducted if the judges notice that. But some people since the judges are judging on the side view, it's hard for them to see that. But it helps the divers spin a little bit faster, but it's not encouraged.
I think they noticed some of the Chinese divers doing that in competition recently.
And this is Keith. And he just did a front 1 1/2, 2 twists, and that's quite difficult.
Yes. Scoring 4s. I notice those chamois are all different colors. Pinks and blues and yellows, whites.
They have all different colors for whatever color you want. Right now they're coming out with bright yellows and bright pinks.
The new neon fashion statement in
That's right.
chamois. That was a clean dive.
Yep, that was a front 1 1/2 pike.
Scoring 5s.
And this is Billy, and he'll be doing a front double tuck. Okay, he leaned that out quite a bit, and he didn't kick out of it, but it wasn't too bad a dive.
It counted, and I think Billy...
I think he'll be pleased with
Yes.
that.
Tim's last dive.
Okay, Tim will be doing an inward 1 1/2 pike, and he has a score right now of 368 points.
Degree of difficulty 2.4, so
This is a hard dive. And he did that
Very
really
well.
nice. He ripped that dive. That
Yes.
was gorgeous. And that's going to bring up his score.
7.5 to 8. Dale has 467
67
already.
points. He's got about 100 more than Tim has, so I think he's pretty well won this competition. He could jump off the board and get 0 for this and still win, but I think he'll do the dive.
He has been consistent all the way through. Started off a little shaky at the beginning for Dale, but
Tim started off with really nice dives,
Yeah.
but Dale was consistent the whole time.
yes. Very nice.
That was a nice dive. He was a little bit short, but reverse twisters are very difficult. And that was a nice dive.
Scoring 6s and 6.5s.
And that's the end of the competition.
Well, I've certainly enjoyed working with you, Becky, today. We've seen some good diving, and I think the meet has been well run. The St. John Fundy Diving Club should be commended for the job they've done.
It's been a really good meet. The divers have all done well.
Excellent.